What is going on, YouTube family? It's Andrea here at VW Family Farm. We're in the kitchen. We are taking care of something we need to take care of for a while. We are working with garlic. So it is about to smell like an Italian restaurant in here. I'm going to show you a quick, easy way to preserve your garlic, and you can just dry garlic and preserve it that way and then use it as you go, but you will have to press it each time you want to use something or chop it up. This way you're doing the work right now, and then it is ready to just toss in dishes, and it's, in my opinion, just as good as fresh. Although I will keep some as fresh, this is just as good, and it's so easy and convenient. So let's get busy. One main thing to remember though, if you're gonna start chopping up your garlic and dehydrating or however you choose to preserve it, is don't use it all, because you want some to plant this next fall to grow. It's for your seed stock to grow for the next year. So save back what you want to plant and then eat on what's left. Okay, so we're about to get started, and the cool thing about drying garlic, which is what we're going to do today, dry it and make it into garlic powder, is you really don't need any special equipment. You can do this just with common things you probably already have in your house. So let's get busy. First thing is we've got to get the garlic cleaned up and chopped. Alright, so we've got it all cleaned up. At this point, if you're using no special equipment, you can just use a knife and cut these up into smaller pieces. You can see these aren't the best looking pieces. There's a few dark spots and stuff, but this is last year's garlic I'm trying to get used up. So that's okay. It's going to have a few spots that aren't perfect looking, but you need to chop them at this point with a knife, or I'm going to use a little food processor, but you can definitely just use a knife, chunk it up into smaller pieces to help it dry. So I'm going to use this. This is a cheapo from Walmart. It works fine. I'm going to use this to chop it, but like I said, feel free to just use a knife. So that chops it beautifully. That will save you so much time. Not incredibly necessary, but so convenient. Alright, the next thing is there is no dehydrator necessary for this. I have an Excalibur, which I love, and you can definitely use one of those, and those go down to a low temperature to preserve all the freshness of your food, but you definitely don't have to have one. And in fact, mine is tied up right now drying elderberries, so I'm just going to use the plain old oven. And now most ovens only go down to 170, so that's where I'm going to set it. That's as low as it'll go. If yours will go down further to like 150, that'd be even better, but most don't. Okay, so I was only able to get about half of it in there to chop at a time, so I'm going to go ahead and switch these out. You need to line your cookie sheet with parchment paper, and that'll help it dry out better. So as much as that turned out to be, I'm going to go ahead and split this onto 2 cookie sheets. It'll dry better that way if it's not super thick. So you want to leave a tiny crack in your oven door just to let the moisture escape, because we are drying this and dehydrating it. It will take a couple hours depending on how small you made your chunks and your humidity, as well as how much is on your cookie sheet. So could take a little more, a little less. Just keep an eye on it. This would be a great thing to do in the fall when it's starting to get chilly. This would heat up your house a little bit. Right now is probably not ideal because you are going to have a little bit of heat escaping. It's not terrible because it's a pretty low temperature, but it would be a great thing to do in the fall. So these have dried for several hours. This one is dry. That one needs a little bit longer. You can hear how it's kind of crunchy sounding. It's really dry, so that's good. Now we want to let this completely cool for a while. All right, so it got dried. It actually took a little more than a couple hours. I think I could have ground it a little bit smaller in my food processor, but nonetheless, it got dried. I wasn't in a big hurry. It's a nice golden toasted brown. It looks really good. It's really crunchy. I let it cool completely, actually overnight, and now I'm going to grind some of it. So this is super easy and really inexpensive. So this is a cheap little coffee grinder. You're not going to be able to grind a whole lot at a time, but this will work just fine. It will work perfectly, actually. You don't have to have some fancy, expensive spice grinder. This will work. One word of caution though, you might want a couple of these if you grind your own coffee. You can definitely try to wash this out, but I don't know how well you're going to get like the spices taste out of your coffee, or you might not want coffee flavor in your spices. So you might want a couple of these. They're very cheap. You can find them on Amazon, Walmart, wherever.
Smells like garlic powder.
And voila. And then after you grind it, you can find these most places these days. These have been out for a couple of years. They are the herb and spice jars from Ball, and they come with these little holes in them. So this is very small for me, because when I dry herbs, or like I have a lot of garlic powder this is going to make, that's a pretty small jar. But these actually just fit on a regular mouth mason jar. So you can put this on a pint or a quart or whatever you want, and then you've got your own spice jar. But if you don't have these, there's another option. So I know a lot of us have bought Parmesan cheese before. This is just the cheap brand of Parmesan cheese, but any brand will work. And then once you're done using it, save these lids, because these fit perfectly on a regular mouth mason jar, and then you got your own spice lid from something you were gonna throw away. Okay, so I made an entire pint, and it didn't actually take that much dehydrated garlic to make this. So I still have quite a bit left. I probably have half left. So I'm just going to put that in a jar with a regular lid on it and save that. Because I like these dehydrated pieces to toss in dishes I'm cooking sometimes. I don't always want powder. So these are perfect to save just in a jar by themselves. All right, guys, so we are done. That is how easy it is to make your own garlic powder. And you can apply that. You can do that with onions and make your own onion powder. You can do ginger, take ginger root and do the same thing. There's endless possibilities. If you think of all the spices you're buying at the store and how simple they are to do yourself with things a lot of times we have in our homes. If you're like us, you're growing garlic and buying garlic powder. As well as this year, we're actually growing poblano peppers, paprika peppers, several different peppers to make our own spices, as far as like chili powder and paprika powder and all those types of things as well. It's fun and it's easy. So thanks for watching and hanging out with me. I will see you next time in the kitchen. God bless. Oh, wow. Now look at your camera. I'm sick.
You nasty. Like that.
You got garlic bread.
Yeah, nope. Put it in.
Oh,
Look
it's
at the
bitey.
camera. Look at the camera.
It's bitey.
Camera.
It's bitey. Really red.
Oh.